The Great Chicago Fire of 1871 remains a pivotal event in American history, emblematic of the challenges of urban growth, the fragility of human endeavor, and the capacity for resilience and rebirth after disaster. While its origins and the precise cause of the fire have fueled speculation and myth, the implications of this tragedy reach far beyond the flames that engulfed the city. This essay explores the causes of the Great Chicago Fire, its devastating consequences, and the cultural and architectural transformations catalyzed by the inferno, illustrating a moment when disaster became a crucible for change in one of America's burgeoning cities. Historical context: the late 19th century marked a period of explosive growth for Chicago. Following its incorporation as a city in 1837, Chicago transformed from a small settlement into a booming metropolis by the 1870s. This rapid urbanization attracted a diverse population, comprising European immigrants, African Americans, and individuals from various backgrounds seeking opportunity in a city that was expanding both economically and geographically. This growth came with significant structural challenges. The majority of buildings were constructed from wood, a readily available resource that contributed to the city's rapid expansion. A lack of effective building codes and fire regulations exacerbated the dangers posed by the urban environment. The streets were often filled with wooden sidewalks, and many homes and commercial buildings were constructed closely together, creating a tinderbox that was ripe for disaster. The fire's ignition: while the precise origin of the fire is shrouded in myth, the most popular narrative involves a barn owned by Patrick O'Leary, whose cow reportedly kicked over a lantern. Although historians debate the validity of this story, what is more critical are the circumstances enabling the fire's rapid escalation. On the night of October 8, 1871, Chicago was experiencing exceptionally dry conditions after a preceding summer with little rainfall. Strong winds fanned the flames, leading to a devastating conflagration that soon spread unchecked through the city. Despite the heroic efforts of the Chicago Fire Department, the response was hampered by outdated equipment, poor infrastructure, and the overwhelming scale of the blaze. The catastrophic spread: the fire erupted in the O'Leary barn and rapidly spread through the near west side of Chicago, destroying more than 3.3 square miles of the city in less than 2 days. The flames consumed homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure, resulting in the destruction of approximately 17,500 buildings and rendering roughly 100,000 residents homeless. The inferno resulted in the loss of an estimated 300 lives, although the true number may never be known due to incomplete records and the chaotic aftermath. The societal impact of the fire was profound, particularly for marginalized communities. Many immigrant neighborhoods, which were often less well constructed and densely populated, faced the brunt of the destruction. The aftermath revealed stark disparities in how various communities experienced the disaster, with some residents receiving aid while others were left to fend for themselves. Immediate aftermath and humanitarian response: in the wake of the fire, Chicago faced not only physical destruction but also a massive humanitarian crisis. The immediate response involved setting up temporary shelters for displaced residents, many of whom had lost everything in the fire. Churches, schools, and community centers opened their doors to provide refuge, and various organizations began to mobilize aid. The national response was swift. Donations poured in from across the United States and even from abroad to support recovery efforts. Newspapers of the time documented the plight of victims, fulfilling a dual role of raising awareness and soliciting donations. However, racial and socioeconomic inequalities were evident in the distribution of aid. African American residents and immigrant populations often received less assistance compared to wealthier white citizens. This inequity highlighted the persistent social divides within the city, further illustrating how disasters can amplify existing social injustices. Long-term implications and urban transformation: the Great Chicago Fire set in motion a series of transformative changes in city planning and fire safety regulations. In the aftermath of the catastrophe, Chicago adopted new building codes mandating the use of fire-resistant materials such as brick and stone, fundamentally altering the architecture of the city. The fire prompted a re-evaluation of urban planning principles, leading to a more organized city layout that took into consideration fire safety. Furthermore, the inferno catalyzed significant advances in firefighting technology and organization. The Chicago Fire Department underwent substantial reforms, enhancing its capabilities to respond to future emergencies. The lessons learned from the fire reverberated throughout the nation, prompting other cities to adopt more rigorous safety measures to protect against similar calamities. Cultural reflections and legacy: the Great Chicago Fire also left an indelible mark on American culture, influencing art, literature, and public consciousness. The narratives that emerged from the tragedy, particularly tales of heroism and resilience, became part of the collective memory of Chicagoans. The fire's aftermath inspired numerous literary works, paintings, and theatrical productions that explored the themes of loss, resilience, and the human spirit's capacity to endure in the face of overwhelming adversity. Authors like Hamlin Garland and poems written during the period reflected on the experiences of those affected, weaving personal stories into the fabric of American literary history. In addition to literature, the fire influenced urban art movements and architecture. Architects such as Daniel Burnham spearheaded the reconstruction efforts, leading to the Chicago School of Architecture, characterized by innovations like steel frame construction and a move toward the high-rise design that would define modern skyscrapers. The rebuilt Chicago became a canvas for architectural experimentation, leading to landmarks such as the Home Insurance Building, often considered the first modern skyscraper. The fire also resonated culturally in the broader national context. It served as a metaphor for transformation and renewal, themes commonly found in American folklore and literature. The image of Chicago as a phoenix rising from the ashes captured the imagination of a nation that was rapidly industrializing and urbanizing. The resilience demonstrated by Chicagoans became emblematic of the American spirit, an assertion that through hardship and destruction, renewal and innovation could emerge. Economic recovery and growth. The period following the Great Chicago Fire was marked by a vigorous economic recovery. The loss of buildings and businesses initially posed significant challenges, however, it also opened the door for new investment. Entrepreneurs and businesses quickly recognized the opportunity to rebuild in a city characterized by modern, fire-resistant designs. As the city emerged from the rubble, Chicago re-established itself as a vital industrial hub, stimulating job growth and economic activity. The rebuilding efforts attracted significant domestic and foreign investment, further invigorating Chicago's economy. Major firms set up operations in the city, re-establishing Chicago as a central player in industries such as meatpacking, grain processing, and manufacturing. In less than a decade after the fire, Chicago's population grew further, and by 1880, it had become the second most populous city in the United States. Legacy of urban reform. The lessons learned from the Great Chicago Fire prompted broader discussions about urban reform and disaster preparedness that resonated throughout the nation. The inadequacy of emergency response and infrastructure was addressed not only in Chicago but also in other rapidly growing cities across America. New frameworks for urban planning began to emerge, emphasizing the importance of fire prevention, public safety, and infrastructure resilience. Cities invested in creating more sophisticated firefighting forces and emergency response strategies. In addition, urban areas began adopting building codes that took fire risks into account, showcasing a significant shift towards public health and safety considerations in city planning. Social justice reflections. In the years following the fire, the disparities in relief efforts highlighted racial and economic injustices that persisted in urban society. Reform movements emerged to address these inequalities, with activists advocating for better treatment of marginalized populations within the city structure. The fire catalyzed discussions about the social responsibility of government and the importance of equitable disaster recovery efforts. The events surrounding the Great Chicago Fire coincided with the burgeoning labor movement, as many workers sought better conditions and rights in the wake of economic growth and the city's transformation. The notion of the Chicago spirit that emerged emphasized resilience, unity, and the blending of diverse communities, though the reality of recovery often revealed deepening societal rifts. Contemporary reflections. Today, the Great Chicago Fire serves as a case study in disaster management, urban resilience, and cultural memory. As cities around the globe face increasing threats from climate change and other disasters, the lessons gleaned from Chicago's experience remain relevant. The fire's legacy continues to shape policies related to emergency preparedness, building safety regulations, and community resilience initiatives. Moreover, the cultural narrative surrounding the fire and its aftermath reflects broader themes of resilience that persist in American consciousness. Memorials and museums dedicated to the fire serve as educational tools, reminding future generations of the importance of preparedness and the human spirit's capacity to endure and rise above adversity. The event also serves as an enduring reminder of the interconnectedness of social equity, urban planning, and public safety. Conclusion. The Great Chicago Fire of 1871 was not merely a disaster, it was a transformative event that reshaped the city, its people, and the broader national landscape. Understanding the complexities surrounding this catastrophe, including its historical context, the socio-economic dynamics at play, and the cultural narratives that emerged, underscores its lasting importance in American history. The fire catalyzed an era of urban reform, ignited architectural innovation, and highlighted the need for equitable approaches to disaster response. As Chicago continues to be a symbol of resilience, the lessons of 1871 remain pertinent, reminding us of the delicate balance between human ambition and the forces of nature.